If you've ever wondered how a fellow MILSPOUSE photographer prepares their business for a move, then this brand new series is for you. Back in 2022, I was coming up on my first move with my business and couldn't find anyone talking about the real-time process. So I figured it out myself. I did things the hard way, the wrong way, and it turned out fine. It was a ton of work, but things worked out okay. But fast forward then to 2024 when I had the opportunity to do this again, and that time it went far more smoothly. I had learned a lot from the previous move. I had an extra 2 years experience running my business, so that transition was actually pretty natural. Now I have the opportunity to do this yet again, and this time it might actually be for the last time. Never say never, but it's quite possible that it will be. So this time I've decided to document the entire process and share it here with you. You won't find any magic checklist in this series or some perfect one-size-fits-all timeline, but rather I'm just going to be sharing what I'm working on, what still stresses me out, and just how I'm managing life and business in this next transition. So if you are staring down a PCS and just want to see how someone else is handling the same stressful thing you are in the right place. All right, hey there. We are about 8 months out from our move. And at this point, I'm really just starting to have lots of thoughts pop in my head about things I need to do. And I don't know about you, but when I have some thoughts and I don't write them down somewhere, they're just kind of like swirling in my head and then I feel overwhelmed. So one of the things that I want to do this far out is really just start getting myself organized. And so Matt and I use the program called TODOIST to really organize our whole life. So I'm going to show you what that looks like and how I'm going to use it to start getting myself organized for the business move. Okay, so this is what my business board looks like inside TODOIST. I've got different projects built for our home, for my business, and for me personally. And like I said, Matt and I use this as the way we keep all of our tasks organized. So just real quick, if we peek at the home one, you can see we've got recurring tasks for grocery shopping list, paying bills, vacuuming, all the different things that we have to do regularly. We keep them organized in here, and then each day we can go to today, and we've got a really nice to-do list of the things that we have to get done each day. So if I go to my business one, I already have a parking lot column here that I use kind of for general business tasks, but I'm actually going to build a new section and just call it, PCS Prep. And all I'm going to do right now is start adding different tasks that have popped into my head that I know I'm going to need to accomplish at some point here before our move. And at this point, I'm not tying due dates to anything. I'm just dumping all of the thoughts that I've had so that I don't have to have them, like I said, swirling in my head and causing me stress from having too many thoughts. I hope you can relate to that. So some things I'm thinking about that I know I'm going to need to do. Legal research in general. I know I will need to register my LLC in the state of Colorado. That's something that'll have to get done. I need to look into the sales tax rules there. I've actually been starting to toy with outsourcing my bookkeeping. So this might be a good time to research bookkeepers. We're moving to Colorado Springs, and I know I'm going to have the opportunities to shoot on the Air Force Academy's campus, and I'm not sure if there's any permits that I need to know about there. I know at the Naval Academy that you have to actually get approved as a photographer to shoot there, and so I'm going to do research to see if there's anything I could do ahead of time to start that process so I don't have to wait once I get there. Marketing is a huge thing, and I am going to use my own move-proof marketing plan. So I'm going to make a note here to enter the move-proof marketing plan due dates here in Todoist so that, again, they'll show up on my daily to-do list when that's time. If you're not familiar with that product, I will link it in the description below, but it is something you can grab in my shop that has made moves so much easier for me. So I'm excited to get to use my own product here this time. And then what else have I been thinking of? Just location permit research. If there are different permits that I need to shoot in different parks, things like that, I want to get ahead of that. I think those are the big things that I've been thinking about up until this point. But now I have this place where anytime I have a thought of like, oh, I know I need to make sure I do that, I'm going to come to this column in my planner here and I'm going to dump it in there, and then I'm not going to worry about it. And at a future date, once we get a little bit closer, I'm going to have a list of to-dos in here, and then I can start adding due dates to them and making sure that I'm giving myself realistic goals in terms of when things need to get accomplished. Hey there, friend. I just finished recording the next YouTube video in our series highlighting fellow MILSPOUSE photographers, which if you haven't checked out yet, you totally should. But I wanted to share a quick thing here that came up this month as well that has been really helpful as we're getting ready for our move. So one big thing that I've been doing this far out is starting to connect with other photographers. Still early to be doing a lot of the nitty-gritty details, but I started in our MILSPOUSE photographer database and found a few photographers there who are in Colorado Springs currently. And then I also used Google and Instagram and found some other photographers who are there right now as well. And I don't really have an agenda when I start reaching out to these photographers. I'm really just looking for connections that honestly will be helpful once we get there. But I have already gotten some great information from these conversations that I didn't really plan for and that I'm feeling really good about. So, photography related things like some permit things, a couple of location recommendations, which again, it's a little early for that. But I've also gotten some good information about schools and neighborhoods and some fun things to do as a family when we get there. And those things I didn't expect to come from these conversations, but am already feeling better about the research and things that I'm doing as we're trying to figure out where we're going to live. So the other thing that happened in one of the conversations that was really, helpful, really good to think about is pricing. I had a great pricing conversation with a fellow photographer, which reminds me I need to run my cost of doing business before we arrive. And so I'm going to add that to my TODOIST checklist so I can make sure I don't forget to do that. But anyway, the conversation just got me thinking about my current numbers, how they relate to what I'm currently seeing and what this photographer is seeing in the Colorado Springs area currently, and making me have some thoughts about whether I'm going to increase, decrease. And again, I'm going to have to run my numbers before we go, but kind of knowing where things are in that area right now and the insight that this other photographer was sharing just has given me some good thoughts to think about as I'm getting ready to adjust my numbers. So again, this far out, super helpful to start making these connections. Not only have they been helpful in terms of some business ideas, but also it's making me feel better about life stuff too. So highly recommend reaching out before you get to a new place to see what kind of insight you might learn. Well, that's it for this episode on the business side. Personally, we're also starting to get organized for house hunting. We found a realtor through Veteran PCS, which is an awesome resource we're using for the first time with this transition, and I'd highly recommend checking out. We have also connected with our realtor's preferred lender, which it's certainly a bit early for that, but unfortunately, I am also dealing with some fallout from identity theft. So we just wanted to get ahead of that process and make sure we're all on the same page when it comes time for pre-approval in a few months. Honestly, though, the big thing on my mind in both business and life right now is just my overall mindset. We have moved a lot, and I know how hard it is, and I have learned from one move to the next that I just need to give myself a whole lot of grace in this process. Of course, that's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, if I'm thinking specifically about my business is not going to survive if I am too burned out from life to run it. So my big goal at this point is just getting myself organized, making sure I'm setting realistic goals and expectations for what needs to get accomplished when, and just keeping in mind that this is a long game. So if you're going through this too, I hope this peek at what my life looks like right now helps you feel a little more seen, maybe a little more prepared. And I would love for you to stay tuned and see what's coming next month. But if I can end with one last request, I would love for you to tell me either in the comments below or inside Photographers Changing Stations, our free Facebook group for MILSPOUSE photographers, what worries you have when you go into a move, because I would love to address these different issues in other videos in this series. We are coming up on our 5th assignment, so we've done this a lot, and I know the things that worry me from one move to the next, but maybe it's not the same for you, and maybe there's something that you're struggling with that I have a good system for, and I would love to share about it in these videos here. At the end of the day, I am an open book, and I would love to help you make moving easier. So thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe so that you're notified when the next video in this series drops, and I will see you next time.